The Athletic gave them an A minus with the acquisition of Ty Washington, Tari Eason Jabari, brought back Jay Sean Tate, and they traded Christian Wood for, I guess, a plethora of guys that may or may not even be on the roster. I believe it's Sterling Brown, Marquise Chris, and Boban Marjanovic. What do you think so far of their offseason? What's your grade, or do you agree with the A minus?
Oh, I'd give the Rockets probably an A plus, no doubt. And I made a video on this too. I'm not just saying it. So the reason why I give them an A plus is just because if you look at who they drafted, they got Jabari Smith, which is exactly what they needed. He's 6'10", good defender, can shoot the three ball. He doesn't give you a lot of shot creation, but they've got Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., so why would they need that anyway? Tari Eason honestly probably looked like the best player in the summer league on their roster. He was putting up monster numbers. I think he might have led the summer league in rebounding, or he was up there for sure. Yeah, so he's great. Ty Washington, I love. Dude, he reminds me a lot of Tyus Jones. Because I cover the Grizzlies, so I feel like honestly, I think he's gonna start sooner rather than later, dude. He's just a great playmaker, good floater. He's not like athletic, but he's next to Kevin and Jalen. So like that's why the Rockets drafted so well, because everyone they got is exactly what they needed. Because they needed a true playmaker next to Jalen and Kevin, because those guys like to score. Jay Sean Tate, yeah, they extended him on a cheap deal. I think it was 3 year, was it? Was it 3 year? I don't know exactly.
A little barely over 7.
I think 3 years, 30 million, right?
I think it's 21, dude.
Yeah, 21? I think it was less than that.
I think it's something just like ridiculous how we got that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't far off with that Royce O'Neal deal.
I mean, it makes Royce O'Neal's deal look like a way too much money.
Yeah.
Actually, he can shoot the three though. I'd rather have Royce than Jay right now.
What do you think?
I would too.
Swaggy, what do you think of the trade, the Rockets trade, and do you think any of those players that they got in the trade are actually going to – I know Boban is for probably marketing purposes.
Yeah, so none of those guys will have any role whatsoever on the Rockets, but they traded Christian Wood, so that's why they won it, because they got rid of Christian Wood. I mean, you talk about a guy who he can't play defense. He doesn't really fit into like what they're trying to do at all. He's kind of – I don't want to say he's arrogant, because Wood's a good, genuine dude, but he's just like – he's like in his own head too much, dude, to like really get this going. So I'm glad they got rid of him. They also got Ty Washington from that, which makes it even better. So yeah, I love what the Rockets did this offseason. The thing is, they didn't really do like much, but they also did a lot at the same time. So it's like I like what they did.
What are they going to do?
Internal.
Kevin Porter Jr. Is he the point guard?
Yeah. Ooh. He's not a point guard, but he's playing point guard. So that's kind of the thing.
Yeah, he's a combo guard with point guard-like skills. Yeah. So do you think he stays, or do you think they try to move him?
Oh, they're going to extend him 100%. It's looking like what it's leaning towards. Both of them are like, I know are mutual right now on it.
What do you even give him? Do you give him an Anthony Simons deal, or do you give him more of whatever Colin Sexton was offered, I think 3 years, 39?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Anthony Simons. I think those are two different players right now, at least in my opinion. But I do think it will be more towards Sexton. I could see that being fair.
Yeah, Simons got basically Brunson money. I think 4 years, 100, which is fucking crazy for one season of production.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think this year is pretty big for Kevin. I mean, I don't know. I don't like the idea of a 4 year, 100 mil, but actually at all. But maybe he blows up.
Swag, you got a question from Aaron. What's your projection for the Rockets to be a playoff team in how many years?
So this season, the Rockets will not be a playoff team because they own their pick. But next season, the Thunder own that. So expect them to really go crazy in the offseason and trades to try to ramp it up because, again, they don't own their draft pick. So it'll be next season. They'll be a playoff team.
Who do you think's after this season, would be the most expendable player on the roster?
That they could move, or
could move to acquire, like you said, to speed it up, quote unquote, similar to like the Hawks did when they acquired Bogdan and Gallinari.
That's the thing about it is I really don't expect the Rockets to be too active in the trade market because if you look at the roster, they drafted every single player basically. So I think honestly they'll build through the draft, but then they'll get aggressive in free agency because they're going to have so much money to work with. And who doesn't want to go to Houston, dude, to play with Jalen Green and these loyal fans that they've got? I mean, this team won 17 games a year ago, and people were still talking about the Rockets. Like, it's crazy fan base for sure. So
my only doubt with that is it would be fantastic in theory to be able to continue to build with the roster and with the draft picks they'll draft next year. But I think the problem will be minutes. People will get upset because it'll stagger the development of certain players. If next year they quote unquote go into a full on pursuit to make the playoffs and bring in vets, this year we had KJ Martin basically say, "Hey, I don't see a road for me to have consistent minutes, so please trade me." How do they? You know what I mean? That's my one.
Yeah.
That in the future, maybe a few more guys come out. Like I don't know if Jay Sean Tate, but maybe Garuba or one of their guards come out and be like, bro, you guys keep drafting players, now you're signing dudes. I'm like the 15th guy on the roster. Please trade me.
Yeah, I definitely get that point.
Because they're all first round picks, and if you're a first round pick, you want to be playing all 4 years of that contract.
I just feel like they have to buy into it, though. Like, if anyone came up to me and said that, I wouldn't have a problem moving them, because you've got to buy into this. Like, it shouldn't be about who gets what minutes. It's about winning games and winning a championship. So, at the end of the day,
that is very true. I just try to think about it in the terms of a player like a KJ Martin, or another guy that I'm trying to think of is what's his face? Josh Christopher, another late first round pick. Yeah. What if he gets pushed down? Those guys are trying to get a second contract. That's what my one thing is. Everyone's trying to get a second contract. You're not going to get that big of a one. So if you're
Jacob will be fine for this year. I'm thinking more of the guys like Daisha Nix, Usman Garuba, KJ Martin.
Yeah, Daisha Nix, no one talks about him. He looked good by the end of the year in G League.
Yeah, he's a G League beast, but I don't know if they'll even make the roster with all the pickups that they had. But I kind of like this A-, because I don't like the Pistons got the Pistons got Duran for Jeremy Grant, who in my opinion is worse than Wood, and we got some late first, which is still fine. But I think it's a little too early to probably really grade either of those trades. Hopefully it works out in our favor.
Honestly, I think I like Grant more than Wood. Like, he's not a better player, but I feel like you can actually put him on a championship team and it'll help them. Is the thing.
I agree. I agree.
He's a good fourth option.
He was great on the Nuggets, dude, when they had him.
Jeremy Grant, I think people just at this point just view him, oh, who's this guy, put up stats like on a bad team. But like Swaggy just said, he was the Swiss Army knife for that Denver Nuggets team. I believe he was on the team that went to the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers in the bubble.
Yeah.
And people don't realize Aaron Gordon was their attempt in trying to replace Jeremy Grant. And Aaron Gordon still hasn't been able to reproduce what Jeremy Grant could do, because Jeremy Grant's a good slasher. He's became a decent 3-point shooter. And like you said, he's more of a fourth option, but he's just a guy who's so versatile. I love Jeremy Grant.
I feel like he's terrible on defense.
I don't like Jeremy Grant. His calling cards defense, I always thought.
Yeah, no, he can defend.
Would any day of the week.